That birthday photograph was supposed to celebrate Meghan Markle, but instead it has reopened one of the most explosive questions surrounding her public story. Is the age everyone has been told actually the age she is? What looked like a glamorous birthday moment has suddenly become a forensic-style internet investigation, with viewers zooming in on the empty frame, the mysterious pool, the carefully positioned balloons, and the old records that critics insist have never been properly explained. One photograph, one birthday, and suddenly the past is being dragged back into the spotlight.
No, what a shame. What a shame. Here I was preparing a special episode of the show to mark Meghan Markle's 45th birthday.
But what's strange is what's missing. No Harry standing off to the side with a proud husband smile. No kids in the background eating cake. No friends caught mid-laugh. Just Meghan, alone, mid-age. Meghan spent her birthday completely alone. No Harry in the frame, no Lily, no Archie. Just her, a rope swing, and a bunch of balloons in black and white, like she was styling her own loneliness, whose entire public identity got rebuilt around togetherness. The dinner parties, the friendship bracelets, the we language in every caption, and on the one day that's actually about her, the frame is empty except for her. So somebody in that household has an Instagram strategist, and I have to assume they saw this before it went on.
Because look at what was actually presented. A milestone birthday should normally be overflowing with the people closest to you. Family, friends, children, someone laughing in the background, someone holding the cake, someone accidentally caught in the frame. Instead, viewers were given Meghan alone, suspended in a picture-perfect setting that looked less like a chaotic family celebration and more like a meticulously controlled image. And that absence became the first clue people could not stop talking about. Where was Harry? Where were Archie and Lilibet? Why was there no visible sign of the children? No spontaneous family moment? No familiar face entering the picture? The more people looked, the more deliberate the silence seemed. There she was, apparently celebrating alone, surrounded by balloons and positioned on a rope swing, with the entire image transformed into black and white. And that visual choice only intensified the reaction. Meghan's public identity has so often been associated with togetherness, family, friendship, and carefully constructed moments of connection.
That entire visual language is gone this year, replaced by one woman, one rope, and a sky full of balloons that nobody else seems to have been invited to hold. And here's the part that makes it land differently than a normal solo post. Solo content works when it's framed as strength, a woman standing on her own, celebrating herself, no apology needed. To literally any other years of birthday content from this household, and the absence, stands out. Did you go back and look at how these birthdays used to get documented? Group shots, artists.
Yet on this particular day, the frame was almost completely empty. Critics immediately began asking whether this was really a candid birthday memory at all, or whether it was another carefully packaged piece of personal branding. And then came the question nobody could ignore: if an Instagram strategist had seen this image before publication, why was this particular version chosen? The questions became even louder when viewers examined another photograph from the celebration. Meghan appeared jumping into a pool while still wearing sunglasses, with expensive-looking jewelry and a watch visible on her wrists. Now, a genuine pool jump is usually messy. Hair goes everywhere, accessories come off, nobody is thinking about the perfect camera angle. But this image looked remarkably composed. The sunglasses remained in place, the jewelry remained visible. The photographer captured the exact moment of the jump. Suddenly, what should have looked spontaneous began looking suspiciously polished. And then the pool itself became part of the mystery. Viewers who have followed Meghan's story for years began claiming that the pool shown in these photographs did not appear to match the pool associated with the Montecito property. That observation by itself proves nothing, but it opened another door. If the picture was not taken where people expected it to be taken, then where exactly was it taken? Why was the location not clearly identified? Why leave viewers to speculate? And once that question appeared, every other detail suddenly seemed more important. The contrast with earlier birthday imagery only made the reaction stronger. Previous celebrations had sometimes created a greater impression of family family and togetherness, with Harry or familiar faces appearing somewhere within the visual story. This time, almost all of that disappeared. What remained was Meghan, the pool, the balloons, the camera, and a carefully controlled atmosphere that seemed designed to communicate something without actually explaining anything. Then came another detail: the comments were turned off. Meghan was shown alone in midair, surrounded by balloons, photographed in black and white, and presented without an open comment section. Critics immediately seized on the combination. To them, the professional photography, the dramatic composition, the mysterious setting, and the lack of public interaction made the post feel less like a private memory and more like a controlled statement. But here is where the story took a completely different turn. The pool, the sunglasses, Harry's absence, the balloons, suddenly none of those details were the biggest issue anymore, because viewers started asking a much more uncomfortable question: how old is Meghan Markle really? The official public biography places Meghan Markle at 45 in 2026, but critics online have repeatedly pushed an alternative claim, sometimes saying she could be 51. That claim is disputed and should not be treated as established fact simply because it has been repeated. Yet the reason it refuses to disappear is because critics keep pointing toward old publications, disputed timelines, personal recollections, archived profiles, and statements they believe do not fit neatly together. The timeline questions did not stop with the magazine. Critics also returned to Meghan Markle's account of working at Humphrey Yogurt when she was around 13, arguing that questions about the business, employment practices, and California labor rules deserved closer examination. Then came the childhood story involving Procter & Gamble, where Meghan described writing about a sexist dishwashing soap commercial. Over the years, accounts of whether she described herself as 11 or 12 have circulated, and critics have treated that difference as another suspicious detail. But a one-year difference does not prove a hidden birth year. It simply means the original footage and records matter. The same problem appears with the story involving Baywatch star Yasmin Bleeth. Meghan has described meeting her while working at the yogurt shop, but critics have questioned whether the deodorant commercial she remembered seeing actually fits the timeline she gave. If the advertisement aired later than claimed, they argue the chronology becomes difficult to reconcile. But again, that requires verification of the original commercial and the precise wording of Meghan's story. This is where Tom Bower enters the controversy, because his work gave the alternative timeline another layer of attention. Tom Bower, a British journalist and biographer, examined Meghan Markle's background in his book Revenge and discussed disputed details surrounding her history. According to claims attributed to Tom Bower, an older version of an IMDb profile reportedly displayed 1977 rather than 1981 as a birth year. Screenshots have circulated online, but an IMDb profile is not conclusive evidence because such information can be incorrect or user-submitted. Tom Bower also reportedly examined photographs connected with Northwestern University and attempted to learn more about the people appearing in them. Then came Thomas Markle. According to the account attributed to Tom Bower, when Thomas Markle was asked about his daughter's birth year, he allegedly responded in a way that directed people to check the records themselves. Critics interpreted that as suspicious, but hesitation, uncertainty, or imperfect memory is not proof of deception. Then came the 2018 email that critics consider far more significant. Meghan reportedly wrote briefing notes concerning discussions surrounding finding freedom, including details about her parents separating when she was 2 and Samantha Markle being 15 at the time. Critics immediately performed the arithmetic. If Samantha Markle was 15 when Meghan was 2, they argue the difference would be 13 years. Using a commonly reported 1964 birth year for Samantha Markle, critics calculate a birth year around 1977 for Meghan, and suddenly the alternative timeline appeared to have another piece. But even this calculation depends on the accuracy of every underlying date, the exact wording, and the context in which those ages were described. For years, Samantha Markle was treated by many critics as simply a bitter family member. Then Tom Bower's work brought renewed attention to some of the questions she had raised. The phrase attributed to Tom Bower that people had laughed at Samantha Markle and that she was right became particularly provocative because it encouraged viewers to reconsider whether every earlier allegation had been dismissed too quickly. But even if one disputed claim receives support from a commentator, that still does not transform the entire alternative timeline into established fact. And this is where the controversy becomes far more serious. A disputed birth year does not automatically prove fraud. It does not erase a marriage, invalidate children, or rewrite royal status. Claims involving a British marriage certificate would require actual evidence showing what information was entered, whether it was knowingly false, and what legal consequences could follow. There is no established established evidence that Meghan and Harry's marriage has been legally invalidated because of an alleged disagreement over Meghan's age. Archie and Lilibet should not be dragged into a controversy created by adults, because their status cannot simply be determined by internet calculations. Meanwhile, Harry's separate legal battle with Associated Newspapers opened another dramatic chapter. Harry pursued claims against the publisher of the Daily Mail and Mail on Sunday over alleged unlawful information gathering. Gavin Burrows became an important name in the public discussion, with competing claims surrounding his involvement and cooperation. Allegations about what Harry's legal team knew before trial have circulated, but the actual legal record is more complicated than social media summaries suggest. Gavin Burrows later made strong allegations of his own, yet those statements remain allegations rather than automatic court findings, and that leaves the birthday photograph sitting at the center of something much larger. Meghan's official public biography places her at 45 in 2026, while critics continue pointing toward magazines, old profiles, childhood memories, photographs, family statements, and disputed timelines. Samantha Markle has raised questions for years. Tom Bauer brought fresh attention to some of them, but the real mystery is still waiting for the one thing that could settle everything: original, independently verifiable records. Until those records answer the questions, the birthday picture remains just a photograph, yet somehow it has reopened a controversy that refuses to stay buried.